His captain's one out.
It's time for all Essendon supporters to don the sash and make a stand together. Call 1300 GO BOMBERS or visit membership.essendonfc.com.au today.
Well, sure, we're really looking forward to enjoying your insights this season. What have you made of the Bombers NAB Challenge Series? 3 games, 1 win, a couple of big losses. What do you make of it all?
Well, you can forget about the wins and losses because I found it very intriguing. Obviously, the circumstances where a pre-season was set in stone with established players has had to change very quickly. It's unprecedented. So what I went along and looked at, particularly the Carlton game, and watched the other games on TV, is the adjustment that John and his coaching panel have had to make with the introduction of the top-up players and also the emergence of the young players. So been a very difficult circumstances, but there's a lot to get out of the game. People are right, scoreboards are relevant. Like I didn't even know where the scoreboard was at Carlton, couldn't find it. That to me was irrelevant. Placement of teams, introduction of different faces in the back line, like Fantasia, that was interesting to try and get some pace and some run through the back line. And also the development of some tiers in the midfield. I really like the move of Langford into the midfield. I think that's going to be really important in his own development and also the team to add depth to the midfield.
What have you made of the way John Worsfold's handled this off-season, as you mentioned, unprecedented circumstances?
Well, it was. We all had ideas who would come in and coach, and there was the Bolton group, the young emerging assistant. There is the category of the long-term assistant that's been in the system so long and is now ready to coach. But I think it's been a very good move. I've known John for a long time, coached against him, and of course with Mark Harvey they're very, very competitive people. So what you got there is a leader of a coaching group that's very experienced. Harvey, McKenna, Mark Neal, they've all got enormous amount of experience in different circumstances. Football is challenging. They've all been to the top as players and coaches, but they've also been to the bottom, which is a great learning experience. So they've got a very experienced leader. They've got a really good stabiliser of the club. He's going to do as much, I feel, looking from afar, as much off the field as he will on the field in developing the club culture, re-establishing the club culture, which is so important, and also having a very strong and methodical game plan for this new side.
You touched on the younger players earlier. What about some of the older guys? Brendan Goddard, captain, Mark Backley, vice-captain, David Zaharakis. How important are they in these circumstances?
Well, it's going to be very, very interesting because Brendan, for example, came across with a great vision of success, and it's gone upside down for him, unfortunately. There's been a lot of documented and evidence and all that sort of thing, people having their 2 bobs worth at Brendan, having shots at him, supporting him. It's going to be challenging. The captaincy role at any club is one of leadership, direction, empathy, support. There's so many different areas to a captain. He's the most experienced player. He's got a great finals record at St Kilda, and I think he'll do a very, very good job. Mark Bagley deserves his position. What a great recruiting coup from Frankston. No one had ever heard of him, and to be a club vice-captain and to play football the way he does is quite inspirational.
So one of the special weekly features we're going to enjoy from you this year, Shorey, is a regular column on Wednesday. What are you going to look at this week?
Well, I guess you've got to start off with what success looks like. It's going to be difficult. We know that. It's going to be challenging. And look, I read, it's Fitzroy-like, which is greatly disrespectful to both organisations. I think they wrote the same sort of stuff about Melbourne 5 years ago. So it's just a throwaway line that people have just got to ignore. I'm looking for, obviously, the development of younger players and the balance of stability that the older players can provide. I think Kelly and Stokes and Crowley, these sort of boys, are going to be very, very important. So there's a number of categories within the Essendon team that you can follow very closely, from the leadership of Goddard to the match plan and the game plan by week of John Worsfold and the emergence of the young players. I want to see what Edwards, what's Laverty going to be like? When is the timing of the selection of a Parish, these sort of younger players? But it is that group that's been there for 2 or 3 years that I'm really interested in following, because they've got to be developed as senior players. They've got to establish themselves in the team. And as my old coach Kevin Sheedy once said, always play your next 100 game players. and that stood the test of time. Identify your 100-game players for the club that are going to take the club forward and give them the opportunity this year, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
Well, Shore, thank you so much for your insights today, and we're really looking forward to working with you throughout the year and reading your first column on Wednesday. Thanks a lot for your time, mate.
Thanks, Simon.